This Pitch Breakfast video is brought to you by Spangler and Agins, attorneys for Charlotte's startup community.
Good morning, I'm Richard Morell, CEO of Find.com. We now live in the era of the content explosion. According to Eric Schmidt, between the dawn of civilization and 2003, the world created about 5 million terabytes of information. We now create more than that every 2 days. The ground is shifting and the world is changing. Now ask yourself, is the search industry doing anything to help address the issues that come along with this content explosion, or are they making it worse? I did a search on Google, Bing, and Yahoo for cartoons, and I got about 753 million results. But why tell me there are millions of results when most of us just look at the first page? And who even decides what goes on the first page? And while I'm at it, if search results are supposed to be organic, what the heck is search engine optimization? And if the 753 millionth of the results that are available that we actually look at are controlled by those with the most money and the most SEO expertise, then where does that leave the rest of us? What's the solution? A search experience that puts you back in control. Here's the big reveal. Search on your own terms, Find.com. First pain point I want to address is, let's say you're shopping for a new coffee mug. You can either get about, 753 million results on Google, or you can start opening a tab for each of your favorite websites and search them one at a time, and by the time you're done, your screen might look like this one. Find.com's solution, multi-search. You can think of multi-search as the kayak of internet search. Here's our homepage on an iPad, and then there's a results screen on a desktop. Each of these frames is a different category of search results. We call them find frames. And then here's what and they're side by side on a desktop or on a mobile device. You swipe back and forth to get between your different find frames. Now this is fully, each of these find frames is fully navigable. You can click around in there, you can tap on things without leaving your search results screen and without opening more tabs. And by the way, all of this is currently available on Find.com. Try it on your own device. I gotta say, it's pretty cool. Pain point number 2, news. Let's say you're looking for news online. How many of you just go to Facebook, or maybe you Google it? Maybe you get your political news by following Donald Trump on Twitter. They're pushing their view. Do you really want your view of the world controlled by big institutions? This is where we get things like media bias, search engine bias, information bubbles, fake news, and here's Find.com's solution, customizable search. We allow you to customize your own search experience. So I showed you find frames on the previous slide. What we allow you to do is actually create your own find frames, and then a combination of find frames is what we call a find engine. Let me zoom in. So here's a find engine where you're building it yourself. You type in the domain names and the criteria you want. If you've got 5 favorite shopping sites, hobby sites, sports, news, you put those in here and create your own find engine. And now when you search, you get results from all the sources you want and none of the sources you don't want. It's your own search experience. You control it. My final pain point, privacy. Enough said. We started off looking for focusing on pure privacy, but as we talked to folks, we found that some people actually like a little bit of tracking because they get more local, more personal, more customized results for them. But they also want to be able to be private when they want to. What they really want is to control their privacy. So Find.com gives you transparency. We've got a privacy gauge here that's on your screen all the time, and you can click on any of those different levels to adjust your privacy level in real time whenever you want. And again, the gauge is always visible, so we're always fully transparent about your privacy at any point in time. How are we going to grow? Well, we start off with low-cost foundational marketing. Then we optimize our revenue and profit models before scaling. You can see that our first couple of strategies here are target users and use cases, which we've got some great information on. So I need somebody to ask me about that during the Q&A so I can keep going here. And this all comes together financially, as you see here. With a $500,000 investment, you get the financial performance you see here in front of you. You'll see that we get payback within the first year, and then after that, revenue growth accelerates while expense growth remains somewhat linear. The money, the $500,000, goes to people, partners, marketing, and technology-related expenses like servers, IP protection, and software. And most importantly, here's the team that makes it happen. Cindy and Tina are here today. Raise your hands. You can introduce yourselves to them afterward, or even better, you can contact me, and we'd love to set up a time later to share our full presentation with you. You can meet the rest of our team, and we'll give you a full demonstration of Find.com. Thank you.
Ladies first. Go ahead. All right, I'll kick it off. First of all, I don't know, I've been doing this for 4 years, and I don't know that I've seen anybody literally end right on as the alarm was going off. So, good job on time.
You can thank my wife for that. She's sitting right there. She could have easily given this presentation. She ran the video camera.
So really nice job in terms of being succinct and getting to the point. I like the fact that, and again, a lot of startups won't do this when even in investor pitches, right? They won't explain the problem they're trying to solve. So I thought you set that up and kind of going, here are the pain points I'm solving, 1, 2, 3. I really like that. I got a zillion questions, but I'll limit my comments, and maybe we'll come back around here. But
and we'd be happy to come see you later.
Yeah, the growth plan. You know, when you talked about here's how we're going to kind of get started. Was good, right? The use of funds slide was awesome, because normally I don't see that. The one area that if you're really doing an investor pitch, I would move it up earlier. Is the team, right? Because you got to the team, you were running out of time a little bit there, so I think you ended up going through the team slide maybe faster than you might have otherwise. But I will tell you, as somebody that's been involved in a whole bunch of startups, as in like thousands of them, right? There's only one thing I care about when I evaluate a startup, right? In real estate, it's location, 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 right? Yep. And with startups, it's team, team, and team. I really don't care about your product, what market you're headed to, as much as I care about the team, and you got to that last. So and the way I really personally I like to see it is more about you as the founder and CEO, right, to start it off, and in what got you into this, right? What's your background that made this an area that you actually are knowledgeable enough in that I might want to actually invest my money in the company?
That's perfect, and actually, I'm glad you said that. In the full-length version of our presentation, I don't start off with Eric Schmidt. I start off with saying, before I tell you what we do, I want to tell you why we do it.
Perfect.
And then I go through just, here's what I believe. I think people should think for themselves.
Right.
I want my kids to think for themselves, and I want people to control their own, sort of information. And then whoever else is with me gets a chance to explain why they're there. And then, I can go through my background, my 20 years since my MBA, and my various finance positions at banking and other companies.
And my last comment, because I know these guys, so I may not get back around to getting another word in. So, sorry.
That's okay. I'm still waking up.
Is the other thing, I really like that you've got a great big problem, right? Like search and how it works and how do you get access to the information is great in one way, but it's also terrifying in another, right? Because it's great that there's a huge market for that. If you can actually do something that's novel, even in a very small segment, there's potentially a lot of revenue. But it's also you're going after more than an 800. You're probably going after an 800 gigabyte. Giant exabyte or whatever the biggest number you can think of is in Google.
Yottabyte
right?
is the biggest I know. Does anybody know bigger than Yottabyte?
Yeah. But those are my comments.
So can I answer the Google question real
Sure.
quick? You didn't want to say the word.
All right.
We spent a lot of time. We've got a list of about 70 search engines we've kind of searched and looked at. Mm-hmm. We don't view Google as a direct competitor any more than I think Kayak views American Airlines as a direct competitor. We view them as a resource. We actually, if you go back and look at my results screen, we rely on Google for information. There's been companies, Cool, Bleco, Cosmix, Search.me. There's been these search engines that have started up by trying to build a better search engine than Google. Yep. They've raised tens of millions of dollars, and now they're gone. Try to Google, look up on your browser, search.me, and you just get I think it's the domain name was for sale. What they did, they raised tens of millions of dollars, and they tried to outsmart Google on building a search engine. But there's another company out there that we admire a lot. In fact, our marketing strategy is based on a book we read called Traction, which was written by Gabriel Weinberg, the founder of DuckDuckGo. Their whole premise was, DuckDuckGo's whole premise was privacy. So they started out as the search engine that doesn't track you. They only raised $3 million. That's all they ever raised. They never went back for a second round. They started it the way we're starting it. So a lot of our strategy is based on what we read in the book DuckDuckGo. And we went through an extensive process of 121 different strategy ideas that we ranked and put, and that's where we came up with the marketing slide here of starting with low-cost foundational things. But DuckDuckGo has grown not by competing directly with Google. In fact, until just a couple years ago, they were doing exactly what we're doing. They were just getting their results from Google, removing your IP address and any tracking information, and then giving you the results. So we actually love what they've done. We admire DuckDuckGo. They're still growing, and we think we can do what they've done. We've got not only privacy, we've got transparency, we've got the other features I showed you, and then I actually think the name Find.com is a little bit better for a search engine than DuckDuckGo. So, but yes, Google we view as a potential, we view them as a resource. We're not trying to build a new search engine backbone. We're trying to create a better experience. I don't want to compete with Google on technology, but I don't mind trying to give you a better alternative experience to the one you get today on Google on the terms that I just laid out.
So that's interesting you have Find.com. You bought that a long time ago, huh?
That is a story for another day.
So I'm kind of with Daniel. I mean, I think this is a huge space. I can't get on the internet here. I don't know if anybody else, because I'd like to just try your app, but I couldn't get.
Oh no, is anybody else having trouble? Because I tried it just before I walked up here to make sure that it was loading. Are you on Wi-Fi? Here, use my phone. Play around with Find.com.
Okay. If you want to go real quick, Mark, I was just going to check you out.
Yeah, I don't have much more to add. I think where my brain was kind of cycling was, is this a tech thing or is this a user experience UI design thing? And as you kind of unfolded the pitch, it feels like, a really smart use of some technology that's integrating with the results that are coming through the search engine. So, I mean, my brain always wants to know, like, are you solving a really hardcore tech problem against a lot of really well-funded tech companies like Google, and there's a whole list of them, or is this more of a nuance between some smart tech and some really smart design and user experience? So as an investor, like, I'd really want to know, it's less about your 5-minute pitch, like, and more about where you go from here.
And we have a much more complex technology roadmap. The initial is very similar to our marketing plan. We're doing foundational and low cost.
Yeah.
And this will accelerate with funding.
So
we get funding, we can accelerate our technology, and we can accelerate our marketing. It's moving forward one way or the other, but with funding, we can do more of it sooner. I don't want to take too much time, but real quick, I do have a slide on future opportunities that talks a little bit more about where we're going. There's not a lot there about technology, but some of these things are more technical.
So you'd put me at more ease if you were like more clear about that up front. I don't think it's a huge problem because it's like I think Terry and Dan said, it's such a big deal that I think most people are going to be interested in the hook. They're going to get hooked by the story. I think you just need to kind of maybe assuage the early stage investor anxiety around. They're, like you said, there are dead bodies all over the road here on this space.
But there are also great success stories.
Yeah, there are a few. It's cool. And then I thought the upfront was really good. The examples you used, I think you could consolidate it to 2 examples versus 3 if you're really trying to tighten a 5-minute pitch. Like if we caught each other at a tech conference in Palo Alto, and I've got 7 minutes, and you're like, hey man, like here's the pitch. Just talking about search and curation and customization and privacy, like those are the 2 big ideas that I saw. The news example kind of gets in there and kind of brought me a little bit off course, I thought, for a second. I'm like, where's he going with news? So that'd be my only feedback on a 5-minute pitch would be like, just keep it on curation / customization and privacy, and then talk about like how you're going to kind of scale the thing. And proof of concept is really what I'd want to hear about next. It's like, how do we know when we've got something? Is it the 500 or is it the 3 million? You can translate it into dollars invested, or you can translate it into like users and or other some metric that you are thinking about that's going to show you when this thing catches a gear.
Yeah, our target is 100,000 daily users, which is
There you go.
3 million monthly, because at that point, we can actually improve our margins because we no longer have to use others for our advertising.
Yeah.
You know, Google AdSense gives you like 70 cents on the dollar. At that level, you can actually go out and get your own advertiser, set up your own sort of ad server, and go after and kind of cut out the middleman.
So the cool part about that, like when you get to that point, then if I'm a venture investor or an angel seed investor, now you're hooking me with a conversation on data and information versus kind of abstracted ideas. Are you a content curator? You know what I mean? So just go for those data hooks and those metric hooks, and then you're going to get the investor engaged versus kind of thinking abstractly and then like, hey, I got to go.
Right.
You know, anyway,
Okay, good.
It was good, great job.
Thank
How
you.
are you getting your word out?
Well, so our initial approach is we don't want to get our word out too fast. We've done some just trial Facebook campaigns. Right now we're saving money on servers, so the response time isn't real great. We don't want to sort of go too crazy with a public experience. So we've got a prototype that's pretty cool. We've got this month our new customization, that second feature I showed, will be ready in about 2 weeks. And once we add that, then we think we've got something good enough that it's worth marketing. So we've done some Facebook and little Twitter kind of ad campaigns, but mostly we're kind of getting people to use it. So the folks here, you know, my contact information was on that last slide. Come see me afterwards, I'll give you a business card. But if folks here can use it, give us feedback, let us know what you think, and that tells us when it's ready to use. I don't want to spend marketing money until I think it's well spent, but I'm more than happy to have individual kind of grow a community, low-cost foundational type of stuff, and when we feel like we've got it good enough, we'll keep putting a little more gas in the tank until we're sure that it's going. That's what we need the funding for, is to really pour the gas on the fire.